Hello, and welcome back to the podcast where you are invited for lighthearted conversations about things that matter as you seek to live your most meaningful, beautiful, and joyful life. I'm your host, Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the House of Joy. Well, hi, dear ones. Welcome back to the House of Joy podcast. So happy to have you here. I love the topic today. We're talking legacy. Not the legacy you're leaving, but the legacy you're living. And I am so excited to share with you some of my thoughts on this. I am getting ready, y'all, for Grandbaby Weekend, otherwise known as Grammy Camp. Now, I've been dreaming about hosting Grammy Camp for a long time. And the boys are now, kind of old enough where we can do all the things that Grammy has on her Grammy Camp list. But they're coming this weekend. They're 2 and 4. I'm gonna share with you some stuff that's on my list to do with them. But if you have ever hosted Grammy Camp at your house, I would love to know. We just finished up with Mother's Day weekend. And so my daughter, Katie, was here yesterday. We had the most glorious time together. We had hours to chat together on the screen porch. And then we went wake surfing. It was literally so much fun. But after, we finished up Mother's Day festivities, I'm in full Grammy Camp mode planning. And so if you've ever hosted it for boys, this is probably not your like Pinterest worthy, Instagram type of weekend. So I am planning some fun things for the boys. I'm so excited, but I keep thinking about this. What they'll remember, and I know what I will remember, is not whether the house is spotless or the activity was cute enough for Instagram, but whether I was really with them. Like really with them. And that is the kind of legacy that I want to talk to you about today. Not something that you leave behind, but the emotional imprint that you leave on the people around you while you're here. Your legacy is not your eulogy. It's your energy. It's how you show up to your life, how you show up to these relationships. So I want to have kind of a different conversation about legacy today. I'm so excited about it. And one that's not centered on achievement or hustle or even necessarily like what you would be remembered for, but how the people that matter most to you remember you, how you're living now, and whether you are building emotional wealth that you can share with your family, that emotional imprint that you're making on their lives, way more than what you might be leaving to them, materially. So first, I want to start with kind of like the legacy that we inherit. We'll get back to Grammy Camp in a minute. But legacy often starts with what we inherit from our own parents, the way we were parented or the way, we experience life growing up. And for so many of us, that inheritance is more emotional than material. Even if, you're somebody who is, inheriting a lot of things materially, I bet what has made more of an imprint on you is the emotional imprint that people left on you. And I have said this before, but I will just keep saying it, especially since we just finished Mother's Day. But my own mother gave me so much in this way. She was so resilient. She was so emotionally available and emotionally regulated. I feel like she passed down this resilience, this strength. One of my good friends was telling me about a book that he was reading about how a lot of this sort of mental, emotional stuff that is passed down is really inherited. There's a lot of it, in the genetics, but I also know that there's a lot of it that we have control of. And I feel like, in my mom's generation, they didn't have people who, they didn't talk about stuff like this. Like they didn't have this sort of awareness that a lot of us have these days. And so it makes me so proud of my mom that she did hand this down to us and that she was such a good example, the way that she loved us so unconditionally through service and sacrifice and really showing up over and over and over again. And now I kind of feel like I'm standing in the middle between this amazing woman who raised me and these adorable grandbabies and, still my own kids who need me still in some ways. And I feel the weight and the beauty of that. And I want to honor it. I want to show up intentionally for this. And, I talk about it all the time, but I already love the way that I've been able to do this. spending Fridays with my grandbabies has been a huge blessing to me. And anytime that I get the chance to do something like this, where I get to have them at my house for a few days, it's just so extra special, extra special. So, I think about what it is that I really want to pass on, what it is that I really want to heal in myself, so that what I pass on, is a beautiful gift to my own kids. And I feel like that is kind of the legacy that most people don't talk about, that, we're usually concerned with. I mean, Stevie and I just had this talk yesterday about, oh my gosh, we should redo part of our will. We wrote this kind of wrong, for how we want to leave it to our kids. It matters, but I am telling you, it doesn't matter nearly as much to me as the legacy that I'm living with my kids right now. And I want my two little grandbaby boys to look back on this weekend that we're about to spend together and go, oh my gosh, I love being at Grammy's house. And you don't do that by accident. I don't think this kind of legacy is built by accident. And it's not something that has to be flashy or even public or polished. And, when I think about that, I just think of how people feel in my presence. Am I available enough to really show up for other people? Have I taken good enough care of myself so that when I show up for other people, I can be fully present? It's kind of the emotional atmosphere that you bring into a room, the safety that people feel when they're with you. It's kind of like who you are when no one's watching. And have you done enough of your own work? That's what I'm often asking myself, so that I can be emotionally available and present, so that I can share emotional wealth, something that really lasts, that presence, that you can give to someone else, that they feel that and they're like, oh, I want to be able to give that to my own kids, to my own family. And I think a lot of times what it looks like is, it looks like self-trust. It looks like learning how to regulate yourself, your nervous system, instead of always reacting to things, being able to sit sometimes with hard emotions without fixing them. Because if you learn how to do that for yourself, you can do it for others. So you can hold space for them when they're having a difficult time. I find that so true when you're with little toddlers. Their nervous systems are getting dysregulated. They get hurt, or they cry, or they need some tending to. And if we can stay regulated and hold space for their hard emotions without us reacting to that, and learning how to really love unconditionally from a place of overflow and abundance, and not necessarily from a place of obligation, like I should do this, but instead, this is what I really want to do and what I want to create in these relationships. And I think intentionally really choosing joy. Alrighty, friends, I'm popping in real quick to talk about something that has completely changed my nighttime routine. Cozy Earth. Whether I'm winding down with my journal or doing a little porch sit, Cozy Earth has turned my evenings into the most luxurious part of my day. Their bamboo sheets and pajamas are buttery soft, breathable, and temperature regulating. So I wake up rested and not overheated. And guys, I love these PJs so much. I love them so much. I bought a pair for my whole team. I'm not even kidding. They're that good. We all feel like we're walking around wrapped in a cloud. Even my girls are hooked. After trying mine, they immediately ordered their own. Once you feel it, there's no going back. And the best part, Cozy Earth gives you 100 nights to try it risk-free, and their bedding comes with a 10-year warranty. So yes, it's luxurious, but it's also a long-term investment in your rest and well-being. Use the code HOJ for an exclusive 40% off Cozy Earth's best-selling sheets, loungewear, and more. That's code HOJ at cozyearth.com for 40% off your order. Trust me, you won't regret it. Sanctuary awaits at Cozy Earth. That's why, friends, Miss Edie has a big giant list on her phone of like literal memories that I want to make this weekend with my kids. I want them to feel, when they're in my presence, how deeply loved they are. And I want them to feel like, oh, she spent some time on this. She's been thinking about this. And so, when I think about building a legacy, with my little buddies around, it just makes me so excited. So, it can be easy. And I mean, I've done this plenty of times with my own kids. Instead of really being present, we kind of go into doer mode. But that's why I like to be like as intentional and kind of organized and like deciding what I want to do ahead of time, so that when I'm in the moment, I can really be in the moment. And I have found especially with my little baby boys, that some of the best moments are the messy ones. So some of the things that I have on my list this weekend, you guys, I have this sandbox. I cannot tell you how many people, and I'll put this sandbox for the boys. It has all these dinosaurs and stuff in it. And so when they're here, I bring it out like front and center on my screen porch. By the time they leave on Monday, there will literally be sand in every crevice of every nook and cranny of that porch. And I could literally care less. Bring it on. I love things for kids that are sensory like that, getting my own hands in the sand. It's so good for kids to do that as well. And so playing in the sand is one of them. And then I thought, oh, it'll be so fun if we have like, and I haven't gone to pick this up yet, but I think I'm going to get one of those like silver, it's almost like a little feeding trough, but I'm going to get one of those to put out in the yard so that we can drag all the sandy toys out and like make a washing station for the toys. I saw this somewhere and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea because it'll probably be warm this weekend. So we'll kind of have a sand station, and then outside in the yard, we'll kind of have, a water station that will help us as we, make our messes. And then I made a list of things that I need to order. So we're going to do popsicles. We're going to have Play-Doh. We're going to do a garden project. I have these raised garden beds. And I thought, oh my gosh, I should have my little baby boys come down there and plant something with me and get their hands dirty. So we're going to do a little garden project. We're going to make little sticky bird feeders. We have so many birds that we live right here on the lake. So we're going to make these little bird feeders. So I'm just like gathering, all my supplies and all my lists of things I want to do. I thought Friday night, we're going to do make your own pizzas. So we're going to do pizza night. We might do it Saturday night. We might do burgers Friday night, but I want to do make your own pizzas while they're here. And then I want to do a painting project so that I can get their little handprints while they're here and kind of make something, that will be a little keepsake for Grammy to keep around. So I have literally lists of, okay, now I need to order this. Okay, let me make my list of when we need to do this and when we need to do this. And, it sounds like a lot, but, when you have little baby boys that, one activity is probably going to entertain them for 10 or 15 minutes. I just want to have lots of fun things, on the schedule, but I'm so excited about it. And I think that, having a lot of fun stuff to do and having it kind of intentional and some stuff planned out will let us be really present with them. Of course, we live on the lake, so we'll probably do some water stuff too. But I just think that these are the kind of things these are the kind of memories that I don't really have with my grandparents. My grandparents, were, especially like on my dad's side, were just in like survival mode all the time. And being at their house was kind of stressful. And, I just don't have these kind of happy memories. So I'm just over the top excited whenever, and I've had them a couple of times before, but when I can make memories like this with them. And, it's not that I want them to think, oh, Grammy's house was perfect or everything was perfect. No, I want them to feel like, oh, she was with us. She was, in the dirt with us. She was doing all the fun stuff with us. And I think that presence is probably one of the most underrated forms of legacy we have. I want them to remember that. I didn't have memories like that with my own grandparents, and I'm really, really excited to create memories like that with my own grandbabies. And, most of what I'm doing this weekend is just simple stuff. Like, it's not expensive. We're not going anywhere crazy. We're just going to be right here, doing stuff at home. And, it doesn't have to be expensive. And I feel like a lot of times it can be a roadblock when we think like, oh my gosh, well, I need to have this and this and this. And most of what I'm doing is just like, craft supplies and, cheap stuff. But I feel like it's going to lend itself to just so many good memories. I also, feel like these are times when most kids are growing up in, in a time that it kind of feels stressful. And that old fashioned childhood that I had when I was growing up, I feel like that's kind of the childhood that Tom gets around here. He's romping around, on this lake bottom or in this lake or on his four-wheeler or on his jet ski. Like he gets like that old-fashioned childhood. And that is the kind of childhood that I want to help my grandbabies have. They already get that with their own amazing parents, but I want to help contribute to it. So, the good news is you don't need a trust fund or a title to leave a legacy. You just need intention. And when you slow down and when you respond instead of react, when you're present, when you can make people feel like you really delight in them, that's legacy to me. Every time you belly laugh, every time you cry, I just got the sweetest text from somebody in my family today, and it just filled my eyes with tears. But every time you do that, you hold space for someone else. You comfort that baby when they're, when they need comfort. You do something fun with them. You show your kids and your grandkids what unconditional love really looks like. That is legacy. I could care less. I mean, hopefully we will be able to leave them something financially, but really what I want to leave them is the way I show up to our relationships now. How do they feel in my presence? What am I leaving behind for them as far as an emotional imprint? Am I leaving them this wealth of my presence and my joy and my love, or are they getting like my emotional scraps? And, these are things that we are doing every day. So are we doing them with intention? Are we doing them, from this place of joy and abundance and love? And I think one of the things that allows us to do that is when we're doing our own work. I look at the last 10 years of my own life where I have been dealing with my own childhood trauma, where I have been really cultivating a powerful mindset, where I have been cultivating emotional resilience. We have lots of podcasts where you can go back. We'll link some of those in the show notes where you can learn how to do this. But I am so thankful that I have done my own work in the past few years so that I can really show up with my whole heart, with my full joy and passion for life that I can share, with my babies. So whether, it's me rocking one of them in my, porch swing this weekend, or wiping away tears, or helping them make something new, I'm just so excited and so thankful for this season where I feel like I can fully live in my legacy. I don't have to wait to, let them inherit something. I can give them something now that means even more than that material wealth. So I ask you the same question. What is it that you are really leaving your kids? How are you showing up to the relationships now? What kind of legacy are you living instead of what kind of legacy are you leaving? So, and with that, I will leave you until next time. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Check us out on Instagram. Maybe I'll check in this weekend and show you how Grammy Camp is going. I can hardly wait. Okay, have a good week, y'all. Bye.